Right. All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Represented Series Education Edition. Really excited for you all to meet our education guest for today, which is Shehara Wooten. With over 17 years of experience in the financial services industry, Shehara is the founder and financial life planner strategist of Your Story Financial LLC, a virtual fiduciary boutique firm committed to helping women and STEM professionals. Shehara graduated with a BS in electrical and computer engineering from the Ohio State University. In 2004, she changed careers to pursue her purpose of helping clients achieve financial success by creating multi-generational wealth. With her first financial services role, she worked with a global financial services company and never looked back. 5 years later, she became a financial advisor so that she could help professionals improve their financial position in a bigger way. As time progressed, she desired to help people craft their amazing financial success story, regardless of their age and amount of assets, by becoming a fee-only certified financial planning professional. She helps women and STEM professionals gain access to solid financial planning, whether they are at the beginning of their journey or have a little bit of financial experience under their belts. Thus, Your Story Financial LLC was born in July of 2006. Shehara is an inspiring speaker and author of In the Meantime, Own Your Financial Narrative. She is determined to help her clients close the racial wealth gap and create multi-generational wealth. Shehara, welcome to the Represented series.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dana. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be able to share.
No, absolutely. We're excited to have you here. And before you get started, tell us a little bit about the book that you just recently launched, and congratulations on that.
Yes, thank you. Yes, absolutely. I'm so excited about the book. And I'll be sharing a little bit more about this too. But I learned about the racial wealth gap and just even with dealing with my clients in general, I would see some trends. And I just felt that the book would be a great way to empower people financially. I give historical nuggets as to why the Black community has a racial wealth gap and how are we going to change that? I don't want the statistics that they're saying are going to happen. I don't want those to happen. So I'm trying to do everything I can to change the narrative and be able to educate, but also inspire, because there's some really wonderful stories in the book to help people say, okay, I see that happening for me because they did it as well. The book is on Kindle. It's on Amazon as a paperback, Barnes & Noble. It's also hardcover for those aficionados who like collecting books.
Me.
As well as, yes.
Me, the avid book collector of hardcover books.
Yes. And I didn't know that until I actually started this journey. And so I'm really happy to have a hardcover. Not too many authors have that. And then I just completed the audio. I'm the narrator.
Oh, congratulations.
And yes. And so people can get that on Audible. So I'm excited to get this out to everyone in every way that people can digest the book.
That's amazing. And congratulations again. So needless to say, there is no excuse for any reader. You have every opportunity. There are for hardcovers, for people who are just nerdy and need their hardcover book. You got the audio, you got every part of it. So excited for you on that journey. So everyone make sure you go pick up the book and check that out. So I know you'll be talking about it a little bit more, but I will leave you to it. This is your show. So everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you. Thank you so much, Dana. I'm so excited to be able to share today. And this presentation is called From Singles to Stacks. And it's crafting your financial success story. We all have a financial story that we want to create. And it's really important to understand how to do that. As I was sharing earlier, we're going to go through that and we're going to figure it out. So whether you have a narrative and you decided that you ended up, okay, these are the chips that I've been given, and you haven't made the best financial decisions, we've got help for you here. If you've made great financial decisions, this is also going to help step it up a notch as well. So there's always something to learn. So I'm looking forward to helping everybody get something out of this. So let's start off. We all have a financial story, and financial stories have a beginning. None of us was able to choose where we were born, what color, what race, what ethnicity, the location. None of us was able to choose that. That was determined for us. So I just want people to understand that we all have a beginning. And if it wasn't so great, you can insert a plot twist. So this is where we're going to start, is we're going to talk about what is your first money memory. I'm curious. This question, it always breeds so many different backgrounds. And then you might find that people actually have similar money memories as you. So take the time, put it in the chat, what your first money memory is. Think about that. If you don't want to write it in the chat, think about it. I'm going to share my first money memory. And that was when I was 8 years old. I was in the 3rd grade. And I always tell people I was just learning math. And I was just beginning to get that down. And my dad, he told us, it's Christmas time. I'm going to give you guys $20. So I have 2 sisters. I'm the oldest. So I'm 8. One of my sisters was 6 and the other was 2, around that age at the time. And I'm so excited to be able to shop. And we end up going to Woolworth. So that tells you a little bit about my age, because I don't know that Woolworth is around, and at least not in the US. And I ended up taking that $20. And I knew, with my 2 sisters and my mom and dad, I knew that each person was going to get $5. I could spend $5 on each person. And I was going to make that happen. But I ended up finding discounts and finding a way to buy gifts and still have some money left over. So that always makes me chuckle. As I came home and I said, Daddy, I was able to buy gifts for everybody and I still have money left over. So that was one of the first money memories that I have. And the fact that I was able to make $20, buy gifts for 4 people and still have some left over. So, we're talking about saving, we're talking about budgeting it out for various people. And it was just, it was really cool to get that, I got that encouragement from my dad, and I'll never forget that. So tell us what one of your money memories are. And mine just so happened to be a good one, but others, it's about maybe there was lack, maybe there was too much money, maybe there was, not enough, maybe it was tough. So everybody's story is going to be very different. But please share. All right, so now we're going to play a game, and I'm going to pull up the slide here. Yes, so fact or fiction. So I want you to put in the chat your answer. And this is one of the reasons why I wrote my book. I'm going to just kind of put it out there right now. But fact or fiction? It will take 228 years for the average Black family to reach the level of wealth white families have today. Is that fact or fiction? So let's see what you think here. Give you a moment. All right. What did you say? Well, it is fact. Not a good fact, but it's fact. So according to Prosperity Now white paper entitled The Road to Zero Wealth, it will take 228 years for the average Black family to reach the level of wealth white families have today. All right, let's go through another one of these. Fact or fiction? Now, Black wealth is predicted to go to zero by 2030. What do you guys think? Is that fact or is that fiction? And I want you to put it in the chat. Take a moment to think about it. All right. Okay, so it is fiction, but not for a good reason. Black wealth is predicted to go to zero by 2053. According to Prosperity Now, Latino wealth is predicted to go to zero by 2073, and median white household wealth is projected to climb to $137,000 by 2053 and $147,000 by 2073. So these statistics, this is the driving force as to why I felt the need to write the book and why I do the work that I do. And so the goal here is to not so much just wallow in this, in these statistics, but let's figure out, how do we own our narrative? How do we create a plot twist? There's an article I just read yesterday that was done by NPR, and it talked about the racial wealth gap and what needs to be done. And one of those is reparations. There's got to be some type of injection and some way to help folks to catch up. However, that's why the title of my book is called In the Meantime. We need to understand, how do we manage those funds? How do we manage what we have? And then I also will share some inspirational stories of people who are doing it despite not getting any particular assistance. So in one word, what does crafting an amazing financial success story mean to you? Give me one word. What does that mean to you? Put it in the chat. Let's hear what you have to say. Now, with this one word, I want you to also then take that out and expand it, because what I typically do in longer workshops is you take the time to actually write your financial success story. And so I'm starting off with the one word, but you're going to actually take some time on your own to write an actual story. But let's get you inspired by writing that one word. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you all write. And it's just exciting to see what that means to you. Now, there are some key elements of a financial success story, and one of those is creating solid possibilities. Cash flow management concepts, that's foundational. Understanding your net worth, which the other word for that is wealth. What we talked about, that statistic. Have a community. There's power in community. There's power in working with others. And we'll talk about that even more too. So you may have heard of the SMART acronym, and I've adjusted it, and I call it the Smarty Possibilities. And so instead of goals, I now call it possibilities, because I want everybody to dream. I want you to dream of your imagined life. So this acronym, the first part of this, you're going to be familiar with if you've already learned about SMART goals. But the first part of this is being specific. So that one word that you created, start to be more specific, start to expand out. Tell us more about what that means. Be very specific, measurable. When we're dealing with money, when we're talking about measure, we need to have a dollar amount to that. So if it is a goal to get an emergency fund, then you need to figure out, how much do you need for an emergency fund? And I'll share some guidance in there too for that in particular. But whatever the goal is, figure out how much is it going to cost you and put a price tag to it. Attainable. Make sure that your goal is attainable. And when I dug into this word, I found a word that in the dictionary that stated winnable. And I said, that's it. That's it. We want this goal to be winnable. We want the possibilities to be winnable. And that's going to keep you motivated. That's going to encourage you. You don't want to start off discouraged because you're like, oh, this is a losing proposition. No, we're focused on winning possibilities, winning propositions. Realistic, it means relevant or realistic or relevant. So making sure that it is something that you can achieve. It kind of goes in line with attainable. And the thing that I always share is I teach this with various audiences, but the one that really sticks out is when we did a workshop and they were high schoolers. And one of the high schoolers did say, I want to be a millionaire tomorrow. And obviously I was excited for her enthusiasm. And, that definitely, nothing's impossible in my mind. However, a millionaire tomorrow, it's going to take some time. So we had to dial it back a little bit but not cross it out. It can still happen. But just, it might take more time. So make sure it's realistic, and then time bound, put a date to it. It's been said that a dream with or a goal without a date is really a dream. And we've got to put a date to it. So I even tell you, go ahead. If it's 5 years out, go ahead on the calendar. If it's September 5th, if today was September 5th, 2022, and you want to reach this goal in 5 years, then you need to find out what is September 5th on the calendar. What day of the week is that on the calendar in September 2027? Really get that date worked in and in you. And then a why. The why is so important, because the why, when you know your why, this is going to be the fuel that really propels you to continue and to pursue your goals. If anybody has lived any amount of life here on this, in this particular workshop, you know that life has its ups and downs. It doesn't necessarily go always the way you want it. And so when you are participating in achieving goals, achieving the possibilities that you've created, then there may be something that might set you back. But when that happens, go back to your why. Go back to your why, because that's going to propel you forward. That's going to keep you going and keep you motivated. So that's super important. Now, I want you to write down your Smarty Possibilities. So you took that one word. You've also been thinking, as we've been talking and breaking down the Smarty Possibilities, and what that acronym stands for. I want you to write it down. Take the time to write it down. There's power in actually writing it out. Be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound, and your why. So get very detailed about that and take the time to write it out. Now, after you've written it, I want you to go tell someone. Remember, I talked about community, and that's a huge thing for me. So it's really important to hold yourself accountable, but find somebody you can trust, somebody that's going to be able to remind you of your why, remind you that, wait, this is what you're trying to do. Maybe you're not going to make a certain financial decision. So tell someone, hold yourself accountable. That is very important as you're going about closing your own personal wealth gap, because this is one of those imperative things, is to not do it alone. Foundationally, cash flow management is where I want us to talk, because it's the ability to understand what's coming in, what's going out, understanding your money and where it's coming from. That is the foundation to building wealth. And you want to be able to take control of your money. So I don't use the term budgeting, but you may have heard it from that standpoint. But let's talk about some strategies and how you can really start to take control of your money and get to the bottom of this. And before we do that, let's do another game. It's true or false game. So put T or F in the chat as we go through this. So first statement is 10% of Americans find it easy to spend money. What do you think? 64% of Americans find it easy to overspend when using a credit card or mobile payment. True or false? 59% of Americans are tracking their spending. 2 in 5 Americans have never had a budget. How did you do? Let's see what the answers are. Well, 10% of Americans find it easy to spend money. Well, that's false. 77% find it easy to spend money. So more people are spending money than saving. 64% of Americans find it easy to overspend when using a credit card or mobile payment. That is very true. I don't know about you, but when I have cash in my pocket, it's harder for me to let go of that, but it's so easy for me to use my credit card or debit card. And so I'm not alone here. And then 59% of Americans are tracking their spending. Actually, that's false. It's 59% are not tracking. And we're going to talk about some ways, because a lot of folks, they're busy. Life it gets in the way. And the last thing they really want to do is budgeting. And we understand that. So we're going to talk about how to get around that. And then 2 and 5%, 2 in 5 Americans have never had a budget. And so with that, let me go back to the slide. For some reason, I can't see the answer and I didn't memorize it. So let me just see what that says here. Maybe we can make it bigger a little bit and I could see. Okay, there we go. It's true. Yeah, so the answer is true. So thank you all for participating, and hopefully you got that correct. Now, why am I saying, have that cash flow management, have that taken care of? It's 62% of people in this particular budget study say that they feel more in control. 55% feel more confident. 52% feel more secure. So being in control, being confident and secure, those are all the things that people want when they're dealing with their money and creating their success story. And then some other folks, I'm sure, would say, well, I want peace of mind, and so that all kind of goes along with that as well. Now, this here is going to be a good strategy to take and listen to, because it'll help you, especially for those who are super busy and you're not very much into the spreadsheets. And for my spreadsheet folks that love to do all the different spreadsheets and line by line, more power to you. That's great. But we saw that majority of people are not budgeting or never had one. So let's talk about a way to help you get control of your money and ease that anxiety in a way that doesn't require you to actually budget per se. So committed versus spendable expenses. So I use a system where I like to have people split their money up into buckets. And we categorize it by no emotional risk versus emotional risk, versus somebody who might say, oh, this is a want, this is a need, or this is a fixed expense versus a variable. So we're talking about your emotions here. And let's all admit, paying your rent, paying a mortgage, putting away, saving and paying for your car insurance and paying for a cell phone or electric bill, it's not very emotional. It's more of just a financial obligation. Let's get this taken care of, because we have to. So that is one compartment that we're using, and I'm using the bucket to help you understand that. And then we've got spendable expenses. And these expenses do have some emotion to them, such as dining out. You could do that one week and not do that another. Groceries. I always tell people, you could come out of a grocery store with food, like a gallon of milk and some bread, but you can come out with a dress and a patio set and some flowers. I mean, there's so much and so much temptation. So rather than us going line by line and taking your receipt and saying, oh, okay, so you went to Fry's, you went to Safeway, or Publix, and I see that you actually, you got a patio set. How do we subtract that out and make sure it's the grocery category? So we just put it in the emotional category. And gas, obviously, I think just with inflation and what's going on right now, I think that's pretty emotional right now. But some people, they do put it in spendable or committed. It just depends on how they feel about that. So not all the different categories or the different descriptions are cut and dry and set in stone. But electronics and clothes and gifts, those can change from week to week and from month to month in terms of what you have need of, or what you feel you need to do to build your relationships or go to work and that type of thing. So with this, I love to use this system. I think it's important to create more of a behavior-based system. This was designed by Cashflow, and so that's a company that focuses on cash flow management. And when we talked about those buckets, I want you to actually look at the buckets as a bank account. So they're actually a committed bank account and a spendable bank account. So that's what this diagram is showing us. It's showing us here the green, your income streams are going into your committed account. So it's an actual bank account. It's completely separate. A lot of people, where they feel like they don't have control over their money and they might feel a little anxious about it, is because all the money is going into one bucket. It's just one big bucket, and they're just spending and paying their bills and dining out, and they may not realize, what did I spend? I don't know. I just know that somehow things are getting done, kind of. So we actually separate it out. So that committed bucket is actually a committed bank account, and all your income will flow into that. You pay your debts, your committed expenses, such as your phone bill, your utilities, all of those things get taken care of out of the committed account, and you automate that. Then you have a debt account, and you not a debt account, but you pay your debts out of your committed account. So you're taking care of all your financial obligations. Then you have another bank account for all those spendable expenses like groceries, gifts, restaurants. And this says cash only. So when you test it out, you can try 30 days just using cash. It's optional if that doesn't work for you, but figure out, after you've figured out all your commitments, what is it that you can divvy out to yourself on a monthly basis to cover all of those groceries and gifts and restaurant type items. Then once you figure it out on a monthly basis, then give yourself, out of the committed account, give yourself a weekly stipend and use that. And then that way, okay, if I'm giving myself $1,000 a month and spendable, then that's $250 a week. So automate that and pay yourself and get yourself $250 a week to spend. If it's $300 a week, whatever that number is. And the reason why we wouldn't want to put the 1,000 all in at once is because historically, and it may not be you, but most people might end up using that whole $1,000 in the first 18 days of the month. And now they have 12 days left over, and they got to figure out, where is this money gonna come from? So it might come from debt, it might come from savings, and that's the behavior we don't want to incorporate. So divvy it out on a weekly basis. Give it a try. Try it on for size, I tell people, and then tweak it from there. So hopefully that helps. And then just going back to that slide, if you see there's these turquoise circles. Well, coming from the committed account, you're going to have your emergency savings. So you created another bank account for your emergency savings. And then when we use the term budget, I like to use it in terms of short-term goals. So if you have a travel fund, maybe you love to give gifts and you're like, I don't want it to come out of my spendable account. Well, I'm going to create a gift account. So I've got some weddings this year to buy gifts for. I've got birthdays. I've got many things that I want to do. And I just believe in giving and I want to do it. So I'm going to automate and figure out a number. Going back to my Smarty goals and my Smarty possibilities, I'm going to figure out, how much do I want to give in gifts every year? I'm going to figure out, how much do I want to give in a travel, give myself in a travel fund? Or maybe I had someone tell me they want to get a massage every quarter or something like that. So they're going to automate and they're going to save so that they can give themselves that treat. If you have a home, maybe this is a household account, and we know, oh my goodness, I got to pay for a roof in 7-8 years. So let me start to save for that. So these are some ideas to help you, but make it another account. And then that way you can really organize and get freedom. So we create some boundaries so that we can give ourselves some freedom, and understand that here, I want you to see this note. It's no debit card attached to the committed account. So when you go out and about, you're not going to have the debit card that comes with your committed bank account with you. Keep that at home. That's going to really help your behavior. And then take your spendable bank account, take that debit card with you as you are going out and about. So, and then also take your spendable account and put that on Amazon or any places that you're buying things. Put that on there. I've even had clients, they were like, okay, I'm doing a 529 plan. I guess I should connect that to my committed. And I'm not going to go into what that is, a committed account, 529 plan is, but though that would be a committed expense. So make sure that you are attaching the correct bank account and using the right debit card. We're only using one debit card with this. So that's just another strategy to consider. Now, I want you to meet Antoinette Monroe. She's in my book, actually, in the meantime. And Antoinette, she has an amazing story, and I'm going to just briefly tell you. She was able to pay off $32,000 in debt, student loan debt after college in a couple of years, and then $50,000 she was able to save in 1 to 2 years. It's just amazing what she was able to do. And just most recently, it's not in my book because this recently happened. She actually her wealth grew to $1 million. So we were super excited to see that. She's not even 40 yet. I think she's about 36 now. So it's just amazing. So like I said, we have the statistic about the wealth gap, but I want you to meet some people who are they're achieving wealth despite all the statistics. And she did that through real estate. So it's on paper $1 million. So she's starting to realize that as well. But that's amazing to be 35, 36 and already be a millionaire. I'm telling you that this can happen. We can definitely change the narrative, create a plot twist. And Antoinette Monroe is a great example of that. Now, let's go back to thinking about our committed expenses versus our spendable. This is a good list that you can take and just look at and really hone in on. But I want to go down here to knowing your income sources, because once you understand, you take your income, subtract your committed, subtract your spendable. That is the amount that you're giving yourself for dining out and groceries and clothing and things like that. And maybe, hopefully, you have some money left over. Well, that would be considered money found. And that money found can now be applied to more short-term goals that you have. It could be applied to your emergency fund and saving more in there. It could be also applied to paying off debt. So if you do have some money found, use that money. Do not let that just sit somewhere and just not work harder for you. I also am a big believer in we're learning how to save and cut expenses and things like that. But I'm a big believer in creating multiple income sources. So there's side hustles, other businesses, passive income. I want to challenge you to think about other things that you can do besides just your main source of income, and begin to really strongly consider how you can bring in more income. Because just like it's risky not to have an emergency fund, and it takes away from your peace of mind and your ability to feel secure, it is also risky to only have one income stream. In my book, I do talk about multiple income streams. One of the statistics that came out in my research was that 65% of wealthy individuals actually have 3 streams of income. And then it goes down as the income sources come up, then those percentages go down. But challenge yourself, add 1 more income stream, add 2 more income streams. Really begin to think about how you can do that. And that could also be a part of your financial success story, figuring out a date when you want to get that done and begin to work that out. If you work a 9 to 5, it's important to also work on trying to have a 5 to 9 and build that up as well. So really focus in on how can you increase your income streams, not just decreasing your expenses. And what is your net worth? Now, this is the wealth term. This is what we were talking about when we talked about wealth. Well, net worth is assets minus liabilities. So when we're talking about net worth and talking about your wealth, we're talking about building your assets. Ownership is what we want to begin to increase. And that can be done with stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, exchange traded funds, etc. You want to eliminate liabilities. So really focus on decreasing those. Obviously, a mortgage is something that most people are going to need. Most people don't have just 300,000 in cash laying around. So that when we talk about good and bad debt, that would be more considered a good debt. There's loans that you have, consumer credit cards. Begin to focus on eliminating as much as you can. Because if you take this equation and you say, okay, my assets are pretty small, my liabilities are super huge, begin to focus on eliminating and really getting those liabilities down. And I want to encourage you, if that is a negative number, I want to encourage you that when you are decreasing and eliminating a liability, you are increasing your net worth. So understand that this is still wealth building. This is still wealth building, taking the time to do that. And then also focus on building your assets. So ways to boost your net worth immediately would be eliminating debt by utilizing a debt snowball or a debt avalanche strategy, and really decrease your liabilities, decrease those liabilities. Also automate. It's so important to automate. You want to make this easy on yourself. Again, it's behavior. If you've got to go in there every time and make it happen, it just may not happen, right? So you want to automate your savings. You want to get 3 to 6 months in an emergency fund. When I say that, that's to help you when an emergency happens. And the 3 to 6 months is based on how many income streams you have coming in. So if you have a spouse, then obviously if they're working, that's 2 income streams. And you could look at 3 months. 6 months is definitely if you have 1 income stream coming in. And sometimes people feel more comfortable with 9 months or 12 months. So that's going to be a personal decision, but this is the general rule of thumb. And then anywhere from 10 to 12% of income towards retirement. If you're going to look at how much should I be saving, and you want to retire one day, which I know most people do. And then invest, get your money working harder for you. Automate investing as well. Put that on autopilot. That is going to be a committed expense. And then once you get that all out the way, then you're going to feel more empowered. You're going to feel like, okay, I can enjoy my money too. So whatever income stream or whatever income level you're at, you can enjoy your money by really implementing these. And then consolidate retirement plans. So some people may have gone to different jobs over the years, and you just left the plan over at the old job. Consider consolidating. It might be time to really look at that and see if you need to do that. And then consider tangible assets. We talked about saving and investing in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and those types of things. But you may want to consider real estate because that would be more of a tangible asset to consider. But these are some ideas to boost your net worth. And I wanted to chat about Eric Coleman. Eric Coleman, he's actually an engineer, and he worked at a corporation for years. And at the age of 33, after working and dealing with some businesses that he decided, I'm going to reach out to my tax advisor as well as a financial planner, and I want to retire by 40. So he ended up being able to do that. He ended up working with them to create some strategies, and he was able to retire at 40. However, he did not. He enjoyed the work that he did at his corporation, and he was building his business. But at 48, he did, there were some layoffs at his corporation, and he had built a family there in Atlanta. And he just said, you know what? I don't want to take a severance pack, or I don't want to move to keep my job. So he decided to take the severance package, stay where he was, and then he officially retired. But he's still working. He's working to help build wealth for other people so that they can do similar things. So again, I'm inserting some ideas for you that you can take and build wealth and use these stories so that, again, we're not going to be a statistics. We are going to close our personal gap, and people have done it and they are doing it. And you're one of them. So again, crafting your financial success story. Let's talk about some of the components that we've already discussed. We talked about Smarty Possibilities. So again, write that story out and then extract some of the details of that story and make it a Smarty possibility. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound, and know your why. Foundationally understand cash flow management, what's coming in, what's going out. Try the system that I shared with you. Again, if you already have a good system, continue to use that. But again, cash flow management is key. The big thing is building your wealth, really focusing on that equation. That is a very important equation: assets minus liabilities. Automate your savings and then lower the liabilities, increase your assets. And when I say increase your assets, I'm talking about, growing your savings, investing. Remember, we talked about those, and then also talking about income producing or appreciating assets. I had one of my clients was just telling me a story about her guiding principle, and she didn't realize she had one. But as we continued to talk, she said, "You know what? There was a big storm, Hurricane Katrina, and I ended up taking the $10,000 and buying a bunch of furniture and all kinds of stuff. I don't know where that money is today. But from that point forward, I said, I will never do that again. And I will only purchase appreciating assets." And when she told me that story, before that, she didn't know her guiding principle of her values. And I said, that's your guiding principle. That's it. And so that is a part of her financial success story. What is your financial success story? And then we cannot do this alone. Understand it takes community. So I look at these people like Antoinette and Eric Coleman as a super community. You may not know them, right? But those stories help you. So tap into those super communities. I do have more stories in the book to encourage you and inspire you, but then also find folks that you can actually talk to and talk it out with. And that's where financial advisors come in, tax advisors, but also friends and family, people that are like-minded, that are ready to lock in arm in arm with you and help you build that kind of wealth. So I want you to make it happen and then celebrate your wins along the way. Don't sit there and not take time to celebrate. Figure out how you're going to celebrate even the most tiniest step that you might have made or the most tiniest achievement. Now, if you want to continue this discussion, I would be happy to do that with you actually purchasing the book. In the meantime, Own Your Financial Narrative. If you take this QR code, you can find the various links to get access to that, whether it's Barnes & Noble or Amazon or whatever suits you. And then take the time to find folks, like I said, find people that you want to chat with. If you would like to learn more, I am creating a movement to close the racial wealth gap. And we're starting a money mastermind. So if you're interested in learning more about that, then you can click on the first link in this QR code. You can click on the first link and we can schedule a call and find out if that's a good fit for you and if a good fit for us. So again, it's going to take community. It's going to take action. And we want to build whatever that one word is for you. Keep that before you, because that's what's going to help you be able to take everything to the next level. And so that we do not have this statistic come to pass. That is something we don't want to happen. If you would like to connect with me, I am on Instagram, LinkedIn. So those are the two platforms I'm mostly on, Money and Moves. And then LinkedIn, you can use this. I created something pretty simple, linkedin.com/n/Shehara. So look me up there. And then if there were questions, obviously you can type them in or connect with me. And I'll be happy to chat with you, as well as I appreciate everyone being here today and taking the time out of your schedule to make this a priority. So thank you all and have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shehara. It was such a pleasure having you on. You dropped so many gems. I was sitting in the background like, yes, separating the accounts is extremely important. It's probably one of the first things I did when I first started working. It was funny, right? I realized I was eating out every day, and it was like you're constantly needing to separate the stuff that you're doing from, your bills and all of that. So it was like, okay, well, let's separate those accounts. And I can echo everything you're saying. It makes such a big difference to do that.
It does. And then it just makes you feel more in control. And
Mhm.
it's like you're giving yourself the boundary, but it's actually giving you some freedom too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
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 There's
Yeah.
nothing like actually seeing the money that you have available, truly available. And I think
Absolutely.
that was a good point you made and a good reminder. So thank you for all of the information that you shared today. I know we're going to have you back on the Represented series. So really excited for that next time. So everyone, please continue to tune in. Make sure you watch this episode. Make sure you reach out to Shehara. And most importantly, make sure you buy her book, right? That's what we're here to do. We're close the racial wealth gap by supporting each other, right? And uplifting each other, our knowledge, our businesses. And this is how we make change happen. So all those statistics you shared in those years, we're going to knock that out. We're going to, we're going to do our best efforts to make sure that we're building community and supporting. So thank you again for your time.
Thank
and
you,
we'll
Dana.
see everyone next time.
Thank you.